Welcome to Plano's Political Pitbull podcast. I am Esther.
And I am Ruth.
And we are here today. This will be our second episode in a week, a rarity, because the zoning case 2024-003 passed City Council yesterday. That is November 11th, 2024. So we felt we had to hop on and go over that because a whole bunch of other stuff went on at the City Council meeting yesterday that we'll go over.
Yeah, it was like breaking news.
Yes, breaking news. All right. So let us start. Now, this, to remind everyone, is the JCPenney headquarters property, or former property. We talked about before in episode 16 and episode 20. So if you have no clue what we're talking about, did not listen to those two episodes, stop now, go back and listen to them.
We'll still be here.
Yes, you can come back to this episode. Now, so just to remind everybody, this is the property on Legacy and Headquarters Drive. It has one very large building on it, and the development that wants to go in there will have a bunch of non-residential buildings, office buildings, a hotel. The existing building will stay and continue to be revamped. And they want restaurants, pickleball courts, and of course, two very large high-rise apartment buildings.
Of course.
Yes, 15 stories or more. 700 plus apartment units. So, as we've went over this before, this does not conform to the comprehensive plan, right? This did not pass unanimously at P&C. So, there were some problems. The fact that it doesn't follow the comp plan, the fact that the comp plan wanted this to be a employment center for varying degrees of employment. They made it specifically, they wanted it strictly commercial zoning. No residential.
Oh, but what about the workers? They have to live somewhere, right?
They can live in Legacy West if they want to.
I was clearly joking.
Yes, I know you were clearly joking. I'm just saying. They can live somewhere else. So, as I said, it passed. And I was very close in my predictions. I said that who I thought was going to pass it, and it was pretty close. Now, Maria, too, was not there. She was out yesterday.
Oh, so we don't have her vote.
We don't have her vote. I predicted she was going to pass it, so we'll never know if that prediction came true. So, after the applicant went and gave his lovely presentation, the mayor then spoke. By the way, have nobody asking any questions of the applicant. One speaker came to speak against it, and this was the former chair of the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee, basically saying, I am here to support the comprehensive plan. And he basically said, to sum it up, that if you vote for this, you're weakening the comprehensive plan. We spent hours on talking about this. We specifically wanted this to be an employment center.
Just throw all that hard work in the trash.
Yeah, clearly they didn't care. So.
Wait, why weren't there any questions for the developer?
I don't know. Nobody asked any questions. of the developer. I don't. I think.
Okay.
Let's see. What did? Let's see here. Not a lot of people asked questions of staff either. So
Is that typical or is that abnormal?
no, that is not typical actually. That's very interesting. You pointed that out. I didn't even notice that. That is not typical. So online responses, 19 in support. Most of those people were around that area. The other business owners, obviously. Homer did ask about the history of the property. So, and they went over this history of, J.C. Penney was theirs, and then there's somebody else there, and it's come back and forth to council, been rejected. Horn asked about the current zoning, what could go there and now. And, Prince asked about, remember we talked about the compromise that they wanted in the phasing. They had to have certain things complete before they built the second apartment building. She asked about that.
What was the answer?
She just asked, do they have to do all of these things to go on to start the second this phase 2, which is basically the second apartment building?
Yeah.
And the answer was yes, they have to do all these things. They have to have, if you remember, they have to have a certificate of occupancy for the hotel. They have to start the shell of a non-residential building, and a couple of other things that I don't remember. There were 6 things. So let's start with what the council said. So the mayor started with his comments. He said, there have been many concept plans for the site. For this plan, he wants to add language, to the ordinance. So he wanted to add this language to phase 2. He said, or before phase 2 would start, he said, buildings constructed primarily for uses in retail or service use categories shall not count towards the non-residential use square foot requirement. So, in other words, he amended it to say you can, if you start on your restaurants and you start on something, some kind of service business, building that is not going to count towards your non-residential. You have to have a certain number of square feet of purely non-residential.
Oh, okay. I can get behind that.
Yes. So in other words, he's making it even
Stricter
for them. All right.
I don't mind that.
No, I don't mind. That was actually something very good. So he was for it basically. So Anthony, he said he has wrestled with this case. He said it's a high quality development plan, but the comprehensive plan is a big thing for me. He agrees with the...
That was a quote.
Yes, that's a quote. He agrees with the comprehensive plan committee members who he's talked with and said this was not supposed to be for residential. And this is a quote. If we're looking at wholesale changes to our philosophy for this area, then I think we need to look at an area plan and not make those sort of ad hoc changes in one zoning case. That is a close quote. He continued, this potentially opens the door to changing the whole business park without an area plan, process that engages all the stakeholders in casting a vision for the entire area and not just one property, close quote. So he voted no, which I predicted he would vote no. Basically, what he's saying is sometimes in areas this large, we have plans specifically within those areas. And lately it's been, well, I'm going to change the zoning here, and then change the zoning here, and then change the zoning here, and little by little, the whole area gets changed. And he thinks that what needs to be done is a specific comprehensive plan for that whole area, just that area, is what I understood him to be saying.
Okay, so no surprises so far.
No. Now, Horn, who commissioner, he's not a commissioner anymore, Councilmember Horn, who was on planning and zoning when the comprehensive plan was passed, he said the comprehensive plan is a guideline, not a law. That was a quote. He also said, the comprehensive plan does not consider market changes or workers' needs. That is quite evident of what happened after COVID. We now have work from home, office hybrid, and he went on to say,
what does that have to do with this? We're talking about residential in what was supposed to be a non-residential area.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about people working from home?
Yes.
Then why do we need a residential area near the workplace if they're just going to work from home? It's kind of contradicting himself there.
Yeah.
So what does COVID have to do with anything?
Well, I think what he was saying is that in his view, they did not foresee people not going to the office, and we have this large building there that's basically sitting half empty, and they think that this is going to revitalize this area and have people who work at the building and live in the
These people
apartments.
don't
We
understand
kind of went
people.
over that, but yet they want to have empty nesters live there, as well as young professionals.
Wait, is this the one that costs like $4,000?
Yes. Oh, I should have led with yes, the apartments will cost between $4,000 and $15,000 a month.
What does COVID have to do with anything? Like, I get what he's saying. Obviously, they didn't foresee COVID happening and the changes in the market and all that, but that has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
But that has been a problem. And for some reason, they think that professionals are going to go into these apartments and work in this area.
That's not how it works.
Not sometimes yes, sometimes no. Especially if you have empty nesters living there whose children have gone away to college, moved out of the house. And I don't know, right now the empty nesters are getting older and older and closer to retirement age because the kids can't afford to leave the house when they come back from college.
Okay, let's be fair. How many empty nesters are actually going to be able to afford these apartments?
I have no idea. We went over what these would be.
I know, it was a rhetorical question.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about 6 figures here. I mean, to afford the $15,000 unit, you have to be making more than $500,000 a year.
Yeah, we go through all the math in our other previous episode.
Yes, so it's not going to be affordable for everyone. But we digress. We continue. So he says, if we stay with the current zoning, There will be no maximum heights, no minimum setbacks, no lot coverage requirements, and no open space requirements. And my comment to that is, this is what the committee wanted. You, when you were on planning and zoning, didn't seem to care that there would be no height requirements and no specific open space and no setbacks. You didn't care about these things when you were sitting on planning and zoning and you voted for this plan, for the comprehensive plan, and its changes that were made to the, so, apparently he didn't care back then, but now all of a sudden he's going, well, if we don't pass this, that means we could have a manufacturing facility there, or we could have a 20-story office building, or with no open space and no park and no this.
But you want a high-rise apartment building.
Yeah. No.
Like, this thing is supposed to have, like, what was it, 15 stories?
Minimum 15 stories.
Minimum 15 stories, and he's worried about a 20-story office building? The math isn't mathing.
I know. He's worried about no height restrictions. You weren't worried about that, Councilmember Horn, when it passed and you voted for it on P&Z. So, yes, the committee wanted this to be an employment center. It could have office, it could have warehouse work, like an Amazon center, it could have manufacturing, it could have all different types of employment there. You didn't say boo.
Don't tell me after he points out the no minimum height thing that he then said yes to the 15-story apartment thing.
No, yeah, he passed it. He wanted it.
Then you do not care.
He passed it. He said it will be an economic boon to Legacy West. Legacy West already has people living at Legacy West. And we have people living in the shops at Legacy. Legacy West doesn't need an influx of more people. It's already crowded enough.
It reminds me of...
said that it was crowded. He's like, try to get a parking spot on the weekend at a restaurant. Yeah. We know.
It reminds me of a busy city, and I don't like it.
Yeah,
Personally, it's not for me.
I feel claustrophobic.
You don't say. Remember when I went to... I was forced to go to one of those big cities, and I said I feel so claustrophobic, and I was literally like, I was actually claustrophobic. Remember?
So this is not for you. Yes, we know. I remember. It's not for you. It's not for me either. Homer went next. Julie Homer went next, and she was really quite undecided. See, she was somebody I did not know. If you remember, I didn't know how she was going to vote. I was unsure about Homer. So she wanted to go at the end because she wanted to see what everyone else was going to say because she was still very undecided. So Councilwoman Prince, she said revitalization is a high priority for her. And she continued, it is important to balance our comprehensive plan with opportunities to revitalize. We've gotten something that I'm comfortable with. I don't want to see more office sitting empty, and I don't want us to be in a position where we say we're gonna be so stringent about office space that we're gonna build more office buildings that are going to sit empty. I don't think we should be so stringent with our comprehensive plan that we put ourselves in a corner. where we're not open to what the market is telling us will be successful. So she's in support, was in support. Now, I have two questions. So you're all into revitalization. She does realize that you can revitalize something without adding apartments, right? Without adding more height, without adding more density. I mean,
yeah, the problem isn't that there's not enough people. The problem is that not enough people are coming in to work at the specific building.
mm-hmm.
So you don't need to build more residential. You just need to find what will be appealing for people to come to.
Mm-hmm. Yes, she also...
These people don't understand the market.
No, they don't. She also said that, I mean, she also doesn't understand apparently who builds buildings.
Wait, no.
Because she said, I don't want to be put in a position where we say we're going to be so stringent about office space that we're going to build more office buildings.
I think that was a universal we.
Oh, I was thinking that was a universal we.
Yeah.
They don't, the city council doesn't build office buildings.
She knows that.
I don't know.
No, come on. She's on city council. She knows she's not building these buildings.
Okay.
That was a universal we.
Okay. Well, then here's the other thing then. If she knows that she physically is not building the buildings or the city is not building the cities, then she should also know that nobody is going to build a building that they think is going to sit empty after it's built. Okay? That's crazy. So what will happen is the land will just sit there as it is. Okay? The zoning will stay the same. Somebody will come in, maybe they'll, in a few years from now, and request to build something else when the market changes again. Because it will. Because the market is always changing. Okay? This is the other interesting thing I found. She said, with her not wanting to put themselves in a corner, and be open to what the market is telling them, okay? Then why do a comprehensive plan that is supposed to predict and guide what the city is going to look like in 2050? If you're concerned that you need to remain open to market forces, then don't do a comprehensive plan.
I think that's such a cop-out statement to just let them do whatever they want, because the whole point of that plan was to give a guideline.
Guideline they don't follow.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And yes, the market is always changing, but that doesn't mean that the market is saying build residential in this area. It's saying build something else that follows within what that zoning is, but is appealing to people. Because again, the only problem with that building is that people aren't working in it. Okay. So
half of it.
Yeah, half of it. So then what will people come to?
Mm-hmm. Actually, interestingly, Councilman Williams made a statement that answers this very question. So he went next, and he said, quote, Plano already has the highest population density of any city in Texas. With, oh my God, her jaw hit the floor.
Wait, more than Dallas?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I don't believe you.
I know, it's hard to believe, right? How did we beat out Austin, Dallas, and Houston?
I mean, Dallas is huge. And then you also have downtown Dallas. How?
So, okay. So you have to remember the actual, what they mean is the area, the square footage of the geography of the city to the amount of people per square mile.
Oh.
Okay? So
No, it still doesn't make sense to me.
Dallas, and you've got North Dallas, downtown Dallas,
South Dallas, far North Dallas.
East, West.
No, there's no east and west.
There's no east.
It just goes up and down.
It's got to go east and west.
I know, but there's no official mapping of that.
Okay. So it's a very large city geographically. We are smaller than Dallas, so you have more people. We have more people per square mile, living per square mile than Dallas.
Okay.
Or Houston or Fort Worth.
Makes slightly more sense, but still is very unbelievable to me.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, I know. But yeah, that is what the experts who do these things say.
Well, I guess when you're making so many apartments, that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. So we've got a little more than 250,000 people.
No wonder the traffic's so bad.
Mm-hmm. So he continued. After many of the projects that are currently going on are completed, we'll be approaching 50% rentals, including single family. He continues, I might support this development if it were elsewhere, basically. I like it, but I wish it needs to be somewhere else. It comes down to a couple of things for me. First, the comprehensive plan did consider this area. Redevelopment of this property was considered, as was the evolution of a post-COVID world. The Comprehensive Plan Review Committee just started when the pandemic hit. So it was very conscientiously considering pandemics and the post-COVID world. So they were already having this in mind. Okay, so what Rick Horn said was BS. Okay, because they were going through it. They were meeting via Zoom, the committee. We were at the height of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Okay, the committee. P&Z, this is still Councilman Williams. The committee, P&Z, and council looked at the carve out and said, okay, yes, we want to keep that a business park. The businesses in the area and the villages at Legacy West came in there under the presumption, the value proposition, and even the implicit promise that it would remain a corporate park. Okay? He said, I would be in favor if it did not have the residential. I can see that. You know, they made, I don't think Legacy West was quite finished yet at the time, and when this was all going on. And so they wanted to keep that a corporate, what they called a corporate or business park. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they came in with that assumption.
Why are they so hyper? This just popped in my head. Mm-hmm. Why are they so hyper focused about legacy?
It's a big moneymaker. I mean, you've got a lot of restaurants, you've got very high-end shops. So the more revenue they get, the more higher price stuff is, the higher the sales tax.
I mean, it just seems like most of their projects has to do within that area.
Right now, yeah. It's you know, it's been said that they keep neglecting East Plano. Of course, for East Plano's sake, they're lucky. Somebody once said, you know, we thought that Plano. We were so mad because we thought Plano City Council had forgotten about us, and now we wish they had. So, consider yourselves lucky guys in East Plano if nothing's going on out there. He also, Councilman Williams went on after he said he would be in favor of it without the residential. Commercial properties are office space. That's struggling because much of it is decades old. And at least have heard consistently over the past few years. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading this wrong. So he says, I have heard consistently over the past few years that the biggest challenge to getting office back is the amenities. Because office workers and businesses expect a variety of amenities that was not considered in the 90s. What I don't hear is that they're expecting multifamily. And he was not in favor of this. So he asked to split the vote. He asked to take the mayor's amendment and vote on it separately because he would be for the amendment, but he didn't want to vote for the actual project.
This is Williams, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure. It's been a while.
Yes. So basically he's saying what we were talking about the last time we were talking about this project. It's not that they necessarily want multifamily on their property. It's that the businesses want more amenities out of their office. They want things that traditionally have never been there.
Things that I don't understand.
Like a daycare center in the building, a restaurant in the building, or near the building, or some other type of amenity. I mean, if office were dead, we wouldn't be giving economic development recently to Raising Cane's to renovate an existing office.
Okay, the daycare center I get.
Yeah, the daycare center. Yeah.
Some other things I don't.
Well,
but nevertheless.
They're just, the workers and the businesses are expecting more amenities now. And if a building is not capable of having those amenities, then they're not going to put their offices there, their businesses there. So unfortunately, the mayor did not split the two votes. I mean, the vote in two.
Just kind of ignored that, huh?
Yeah. It was like, I think they need to be together, the mayor said. So that didn't happen. So I was right on that prediction.
Yeah, so far, guys, you're becoming very predictable.
Yes. I wasn't sure on Prince. I don't think they were.
Right. You had Prince and the other lady.
Julie Homer.
Homer, yeah, who you weren't sure about.
I wasn't sure about. Rick Smith has been a huge disappointment. He said, we have an owner that has listened to our suggestions because he's kept coming back time and time again with new revisions. He sees this as the bookend. This is Smith, sees this as the bookend for the whole legacy development. And so he's in favor of it. Big disappointment.
Why couldn't Legacy West have been the bookend? Why does this have to be the bookend?
I don't know.
And if something else comes along, is that then going to become the bookend? Mm-hmm. He's kind of trapping himself.
Yeah, I mean, Rick Smith was elected to council almost 8 years ago now as somebody who was going to be fiscally responsible and was going to not vote on every single apartment building under the sun. And lately, there has not been a rezoning that he has not voted for.
How How soon did he start switching?
I'd say after he got reelected, something changed.
So that's like, how many years ago?
I would say maybe 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Maybe 2 years ago. I mean, not full 3-4 years that he's been there, but in his second term. But yeah, I'd say about 2 years ago, maybe he realizes, well, I'm not running for anything else. I'm just going to do whatever I want to do.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's just weird. It seems just...
It's strange that you would run on one idea. I mean, it's not that strange, they're politicians. But you would run on one idea. Your voters, the people who voted for you are expecting that from you, and then you just betray them. Because, now that I'm saying it out loud, it sounds very, very...
Typical?
Yeah.
Typical of politicians. I guess he's become a typical politician. It's disappointing.
Because he's termed out, so he's just like, I don't care.
Maybe. I don't know. Haven't discussed it with him, but lately he's been voting the opposite of what he said he was going to vote when he ran the first and second time. So it's not been good with him, and he's turned out. So find somebody to replace him, and so is Anthony's turned out. So is Prince. So the final vote was, it passed 5-2. Remember, 2.
Guess who the 2 were?
Guess who the 2 were. Remember, Councilwoman 2 was not there. I would have been actually very interested in what she would have done with this. I'm still thinking she would have passed it.
I'm thinking that it would have, if she were there, it would have passed a 6-2.
Yeah.
It just doesn't, it seems out of character to me that she would vote no.
Yes, I
would be very surprised.
I would be surprised too if she voted no. I forgot about Homer. I'm sorry, I would have forgot to come back to Homer. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Don't worry, we're coming back to you.
I'm sorry, Councilwoman Homer. How could I do that to you? Okay. So I wasn't sure what she was going to do. I honestly wasn't sure. So she said, it's not like any multifamily we have seen before. This was a very different apartment building.
Oh yeah, you could say that again.
Yeah. It's going to be basically a high-rise made out of, concrete and steel.
And one of those, like, judging by the price, luxury.
Yeah. Not your 5-story or garden apartment building. She said she was skeptical that we have... This was interesting. She said that she's skeptical that we have the tenants to fill it. But that's not my problem.
Wait, how is that not your problem? How is there a but after that? You're worried about an empty building. And now right here, you're talking about that you're worried that this building is going to be empty. How is there any but after that?
That's what I was thinking when she said it. I'm like, what do you mean that's not your problem? Yes, that is your problem if the building sits empty.
That's the whole reason you're here. There is a current building
that's half empty.
And now you're saying I'm worried we won't have the tenants to fill it. That's what we've been saying, basically.
Yeah.
But that's not her problem. And judging by what we skipped ahead to with the vote count, she then decides to vote yes on this?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't understand the mental gymnastics. All right, just keep going.
So she continued, she's having a hard time seeing how this particular development is a conflict to the spirit of the comprehensive plan. And she said, based on what I've heard, I will vote in favor. Okay, a comprehensive plan cannot have a spirit. It's not a living being. It's not a living entity. It's a piece of paper. Okay?
Okay.
So it doesn't have a spirit. I don't know what she's talking about.
No, I get what she's talking about there. Like, it's not like an actual spirit. It's like how am I going to explain it in a way you understand?
The mission, maybe?
Yeah. The idea of the comprehensive plan. The,
overall general theme?
sort of, yeah.
Well, okay. I can see that, but I think it is in conflict. You had this comp plan.
Isn't that what she's saying? This particular development is a conflict to the spirit of
says, I don't, she didn't see. And she's having a hard time seeing
how
this particular development. So
the other council members didn't convince you? I'm pretty sure they explained that, right? Unless I'm remembering wrong. Unless I'm having
They didn't really explain, they went into why they felt that they should vote for it. Market changes, revitalization, redevelopment, all that. I think it is in conflict because it's been a while since I've looked at the comprehensive plan, but the mission, it was trying to strike a balance between being a suburban city with single-family homes and good neighborhoods, and also a employment or corporate magnet. Like I said, it's been a while, but that was the gist I got from it. That's when, every time I see something on economic development, I see this mission that the city of Plano wants to be a corporate headquarters for businesses. No, we don't have to be. And
city council wants it.
But I also believe that the members of the committee for the comprehensive plan were trying to strike a balance between rentals and ownership.
Yeah, I mean, that percentage Councilman Williams said, where including this development, we'd be at 50% rentals.
Yeah.
That can't... No, he didn't mean like specifically apartments. It was like...
No, rentals.
Just flat out rentals, no matter what. Whether it's single family or multifamily. Okay.
Yep, you got it. And business. Single family, multifamily, and business.
That can't be good.
It's not good. People who live in apartments live there for an average of 2 years. Okay? Actually, I'll take that back. People who live in a rental live there for an average of 2 years. Apartments, it could be less. So this is not, they go there, they live there for a short period of time, and then they move somewhere else. These specific rentals, they are designed for people who are not intending to plant roots. The guy said, we're designed for the young professional and the empty nester. Well,
again, I don't know who in that category can afford it, but we've already talked about that.
Yeah.
I just can't help harping on it.
I know. I think Julie Homer didn't know who was going to be able to afford it either and thought...
But apparently it's okay by her.
Yeah. she was concerned, maybe, I don't know if we got people to fill it. It's very expensive.
I guess we'll see.
We'll see. So, nevertheless, you've got the young professional, okay, maybe single, maybe just married, okay. They're going to, at some point, want to move into a house. So they're not going to be there. They'll want to move into a house. Maybe they'll pick a house in Plano. Maybe they'll pick a house in Frisco. Frisco is literally right across the right next door. Maybe they'll go down. Who knows? And then you have the empty nester. Well, the empty nester, they ain't staying there forever either. They're either going to be there for until they retire, if they're not retired yet. Maybe they'll be there after they retire for a few years. But again, with the prices, person retired on a fixed income, I don't know.
Not happening.
I don't know. They also, this is not exactly a long-term facility for somebody. So it's not going to be like, eventually those people are going to move out. They might move in with their children. Has been happening lately. You've got multi-generational families now because mom and dad may need, or maybe you just have mom and dad doesn't want to be, mom doesn't want to be alone anymore, and she needs some taking care of, so she goes and she lives with the kiddos, her children, who are now adults.
Quote unquote kids.
Yeah. So
kids to her.
Exactly. This is not going to be an area that has people who put down roots.
You can't.
You know what there isn't in this area?
What?
Schools. It gives you a clue, right? There's no school in Legacy West. There's no school in the shop at Legacy. They're not building a school here. So
schools in Plano, in West Plano, are getting overcrowded. I don't understand why they don't why they don't build another school already.
They're closing down 2 schools
in East Plano.
True.
That's in East Plano. I'm talking about West Plano. We're overcrowded here, and in East Plano, they're undercrowded. I wonder why that is.
We're getting too dense here in West Plano.
Like what you were talking about, how they're neglecting East Plano. They're neglecting East Plano, and they're overdeveloping over here.
Yeah, but there's no schools in what I'm saying is there's no schools in West Plano. I mean, in the shops at Legacy and in Legacy West. We have schools, obviously, in West Plano.
Yeah, and they're getting overcrowded.
But maybe the folks who live in the condos in Legacy West have older children or very younger children. I don't see them having the in-between. That would be pretty far.
So some people do, because they can't afford a house. Some people do stay in an apartment for longer than is average because they can't afford a house.
Right. But that's going to be, if you think about it.
Maybe city council's banking on that, on the fact that a lot of people right now can't afford houses. Mm-hmm. I don't know how long that's going to last.
But if you think about it, so
hope it doesn't last long.
Legacy West and the shops at Legacy, if you have a high schooler, for a Texan, that's a pretty long trip to the high school. It's not like neighborhood high school. That's kind of far out for Texas. For other states, maybe not really, but or even the junior high or the 9th to 10th grade high school. They're all kind of clustered. The high schools are all kind of clustered together.
Yeah, and there's so many.
And the junior high school.
There's so many kids.
Oh, wait. Those kids wouldn't go to Plano. Those kids would go to Frisco. Oh, never mind. I have no idea what's going on in Frisco. So I have no idea where their schools would be. Those kids would all be in Frisco ISD. Yeah, I forgot. We have a divided school district here.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on in Frisco, but still my point with the constant overdeveloping, and they just won't. They refuse to build another school. I guess we haven't reached the point yet where it's become an emergency, where we're reaching full capacity yet, but I want to look into the future a bit.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
And if I were the school board, I wouldn't close down. I would not get rid of those schools. I would not sell those schools that they're closing.
In East Plano?
Yeah, because you don't know what kind of population shift you're going to have in 10, 15 years from now. The birth rate could go up again.
And honestly, I don't know if the teachers are really complaining that much about quote-unquote low turnout. Like low. What the city considers low
enrollment.
Low enrollment. I don't know if they're really that complaining that much.
No, I would be actually very happy for a smaller, if it were me, if I were the parent, I would be very happy for a smaller classroom size, instead of,
23 in one class.
You've got 15. That's private school levels right there. So that's not a bad thing. Now, apparently they're actually considering selling one of the properties to the city. And I don't know what the city's going to do with it. So, but if you sell it, that's it. It's gone. If you need that back, you gotta find someplace else to build a school. And let me tell you, land here it's going like hotcakes. There is not going to be a piece of open land in 20 years to build on. So you would have to buy something, tear it down, and build a school.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. So
in a sad way.
Mm-hmm. But it is what it is for them. So, as we said, the tally was 5-2. Williams and Riccadelli were the lone no votes for Councilman Williams. We got to get him, he needs some friends.
Get him a buddy.
When Councilman Riccadelli
he'll be all alone.
He is going to be all by himself.
He needs some friends.
Hopefully he will get 4 new friends in May. I will vote with him. All right, guys. Well, that is going to be a wrap for us today. We hope you enjoyed our Prompt 2 program. If you have enjoyed this, please like, share, and subscribe. This is Esther.
And this is Ruth.
For Plano's Political Pitbull podcast, signing off.